Hi guys, it's Chad. I got a question for you. This is the first video I'm done, and I just got done taking an Uber trip to pick up my truck from service, and I just tipped the guy $5, and the guy thought that his world was ending, and he was so appreciative of the fact that I gave him a tip, and I was like floored as to he doesn't get tips more often, and I'm not real sure why. So I'm hoping that this video ends up going viral and that we can change the way that Uber does business, or the way that society looks at Uber. You should be tipping your Uber drivers, no doubt. These guys are using their own vehicle, own insurance, and I had to do some research before I created the video to kind of give you guys a little bit of a background on Uber. First off, you have to have normal auto insurance to do it, first off. Secondly, just for the app to be on, you have to have an additional insurance policy that Uber will sell you. So then that's an additional fee that the Uber driver pays. And then Uber charges the client that's in the vehicle a safety fee. So that's that $1 million liability coverage. So there's three, if you really look at it, three insurance policies that these Uber drivers really do carry every single day. The Ubers usually charge you, in at least LA, 90 cents a mile, 15 cents a minute. So if a driver just sits in idle traffic for 10 minutes, they are only making $1.50 for that hour. The only time that the driver actually makes any money is when the vehicle's in motion, 90 cents a minute, or 90 cents a mile, sorry. So really the drivers can sit there for 10, 15, 20 minutes and really not make any money. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so that's problem number one. Problem number two. The reason that you choose Uber in most cases is that, one, it's a cheaper rate. Two, usually nicer vehicles. Three, the drivers usually speak English and are usually nicer. Well, the main reason is probably because it's cheaper. So let's look at a taxi. Taxi, because I teach traffic school, so this is another background that I have. So a taxi usually charges you $2.99 a mile and $1 a minute. So Uber really does charge you pretty much a quarter of the cost of what a taxi ultimately costs you. And yet you'll tip a taxi driver, but you won't tip an Uber driver, and you've already saved the money. So not even done yet. Not even done. So then you look at the fact of all the insurances that this driver has to carry, and then let's look at the minimum fare. The minimum fare in California is $5.65. For those that don't understand this, $1.65 of that is for the Uber safety fee that gets charged to the client. So really the driver ends up taking $4 home. Then Uber charges you 20% of the $4, which if you multiply that and figure that out, that's $2.80 that your Uber driver really takes home. But then the Uber driver has to pay taxes, insurance, maintenance, and fuel on that vehicle. That's about 90 cents. So really, in all reality, your driver on a $5.65 minimum fare only makes $1.90. They also have to usually drive to the client, which means that it can take up to 5 minutes to drive to the client, 5 to 10 minutes, which they're not paid for. Then they usually typically have to wait in front of the house for about a 5-minute wait period for that person to come out, which they're not paid for. And a lot of the clients, from what based off of this Uber driver said, is that they usually do use that full 5 minutes. So in all reality, they have now sat and driven for 10 minutes without getting paid. And a lot of times, based on this Uber driver, he said that unfortunately, they're usually going only short distances, and he ends up taking home about $1.90 with no tip. So just there's that. Here's the other thing. Do you feel it takes skill to be a driver? Teaching traffic school, I can tell you that 45,000 people are killed each year in a motor vehicle collision. 45,000. And then 16,000 of that is alcohol-related collisions just in itself. And what's really sad is that's choices that people make. So 40% of all traffic fatalities are alcohol-related collisions, just in itself. And now they're saying that texting and driving is worse than drinking and driving. And so if you look at those two scenarios, if I tell you that 40% is just alcohol related, and now they're saying that texting and driving is worse than drinking and driving, you're now looking at least 40%. So in two categories, we're losing most of the people, and these are two categories we can easily control, and we're making the choices not to. So going back to a question I'm going to ask you is, do you feel it takes skill to drive? Have you ever been with a family friend or loved one where you gotten into the vehicle, gotten to your destination, sat there for a minute, you're like, how'd I even get here? Or got out of the vehicle and you're like, you know what? They were horrible. I don't even want to go back into the car. They were just the worst drivers I've ever experienced. Or maybe you had a bad Uber experience where you were hitting the fake horn, grabbing the old darn handle, hitting the fake brake, getting out of your vehicle in fear for your life, kissing the ground you're walking on, to say, thank you, Lord, that I've made it to my destination in one piece. See, if you've ever had those scenarios, you can attest to the fact that it does take skill to drive. No different than the barber that does your hair, the taxi, the limo, the massage therapist, or that bartender you tip at the end of the night. It's funny that you'll tip a bartender to serve you a bottle of beer that doesn't even belong to the bartender. It belongs to the bar. They just are serving you a bottle of beer. Here you go. And you'll at least tip them $1 to do that. But yet you will not tip an Uber driver who takes the most risk and the most liability taking you home. It makes absolutely no sense. So I'm hoping that this video ends up going viral to re-educate people on how to take care of those that end up taking care of you at the end of the night. So please post. Put in comments. I would love to know your opinions. And I'm sure this is not going to be the last video that I do. I just think it's funny that people end up taking care of things that really don't matter. I mean, it just makes no sense. I'm just completely baffled, and I was happy that I was able to help this guy out, but in the end, I'm hoping that you will actually end up helping out your future Uber drivers. So post this. Thanks very much. Hope you guys have a great day. See you in the next time. Bye.